I had time to venture out into the city again if I felt brave enough. Let's go to the beach house. Why not? A large crowd was gathered inside, filling the air with the chattering of excited voices. Everywhere I looked, vampires were clustered tightly together like a hive of buzzing bees. But amidst the swarm of mother, I saw a strangely solitary figure by the sliding door. Randall. Let's talk to him. I stepped over to the door of the mother, giving Randall an unusually wide berth. Maybe he had asked to be alone for a little while. When I got close, he didn't seem to notice me at first. Until finally, his head choked up. Midori. Before I knew what was happening, Randall's powerful arms had suddenly grabbed me into a hug. He squeezed my body against his chest for a long few moments, tightly grasping my jacket in his bandaged palms. Finally, he let me go. After I heard what happened, I was fucking terrified. I knew you were tough, but fuck, I kept thinking of all the awful shit they could have done to you. You're okay, right? I'm sure you're shaken up a bit. I've been through worse. Yeah, I think you could endure just about anything sometimes. Round aside, running a hand through his messy hair. Yeah, I have to deal with the goddamn serial killer in the goddamn sewers, so being terrorized by those guys, nothing new. Well, if you're alright, then that's a big weight off my shoulders. If you want, we can talk about something else. Get your mind off things. I get if you're not up for it though. And did you ever find out who your shooter was? No, we've got bigger things to worry about, like keeping on our toes with the war. I don't think they'll try and shoot me again, but if they do, I'll be ready this time. I met this guy who lives in the sewers, Lazarus. Lazarus, huh? Not ringing any bells, sorry. Though I didn't know the sewers were a real estate hotspot. Or something else. Or someone else. What about Andre? As soon as I mentioned his name, Brandis went rigid, his teeth clenching. Don't ever fucking trust anything that guy tells you, Midori. All I'm gonna say is that he's a cold, evil bastard. Scares me more than Charis does. No offense, but okay. So for now, I think. He reached out to squeeze my shoulder, gazing at me intently. Be careful out there, because well, until the war's over, anything could fucking happen. Yeah. As we parted ways, I felt Randall's gaze still on my back, following me closely. Let's get out of here. Let's go to the Saturnalia. We're going to meet up with Pete again. The bar was almost entirely empty. All I saw were a few vampires huddled exclusively by themselves, and one unsuspecting human playing pinball in the corner. Over the counter, he stood with a cigarette hanging absently between his lips, staring at the rows of bottles. Let's talk to him. Midori. He stared at me for a long moment, his features stricken with worry. I heard about what happened. I'm so relieved that you're alright. I have a feeling it might happen again. I hope somebody can end this war before it does. He squeezed his eyes tightly shut, digging his fangs against his bottom lip. Well, I'm so happy you came here in person, and I can see for myself that you're alright. Were you just stopping by for a drink after what happened, or did you want to ask me something? Could you tell me a little about your history? Oh yes, I'm not sure how much I told you already, or you guessed for yourself, but I was born and raised in this place in Hollywood, so it's all I have ever known, and I love it more than anything. I've been an actor ever since I was a little boy. I wasn't a world-famous one, but I made enough to survive here. His gaze slowly drifted to the floor, settling there as if held down by a weight. Then one night I accepted by an scary vampire. No lies or deception, I just said yes. It wasn't so long ago, but it feels almost like an eternity. It's easy to lose track of time just standing here in this bar all night. Who was your sire? I'm sorry, but I'd rather not talk about it. I hope you don't mind. I still miss her every day, and talking about what happened brings back a lot of memories. It looked like my questions had made Heath a little uncomfortable, even though he kept up a smile. What counts as beautiful in your eyes? Beautiful? Well, I love outward beauty as much as anyone else. Pretty eyes, soft lips, a body that's taken care of, tasteful clothes. Of course, I care about what's on the inside too. A kind, selfless heart. That's the most beautiful thing of all. It's true that we judge our first impressions of appearance, even if we don't admit it to ourselves. It's just human nature. I always keep that in mind. What kind of futures do you dream of when the war's over? A future we can all be ourselves. I don't know what that might look like, but with the right leader, anything is possible. He gazed at me intently, rolling his shoulders in a gentle shrug. What are your thoughts on vampires in pop culture? I haven't read a lot of books on them, but I've seen a few movies. That recent film with Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt is charming, I won't lie. I really like it. Oh, the Interview with a Vampire, I have seen it. Yep. Oh, that one was good. And I understand the writer's choice since there are so many things to romanticize about being a vampire, though I think a film made by one would be very different. Closer to Nosferatu, maybe, or the original Dracula. He glanced towards the movie posters on the opposite wall, exhaling a quiet laugh. I saw about someone else. Do you know Andre? Yes, he's very smart and very capable. I'm just never really sure what's going on inside his head. How does he measure up to Charles? You can't compare them like that. I don't think they're too different. But he invited you to visit Italy. A lot of people don't trust him because of his private meetings and the place he lives. You might not want to mention it to Charles. That's all for now, I think. I think I'll go make a drink then. Good night, Midori. Reaching to pull out a cigarette, he reluctantly turned away. I left the bar's quiet ambience, returning to the street. Let's go to the Blood and Rose. Don't tell me that guy's still not there. I wandered over to the counter where Marcus was hunched over, scribbling something onto a postcard. Ah, Midori. I lifted his head to gasp gently in my approach, although it seemed a little too theatrical. You caught me in the midst of some leisurely scribbles, it seems. How fare you tonight, sister? Alive, at least in the figurative sense. That's always a promising start. You came to ask something of me, though I'm not correct. Come, what's on your mind? I have questions about you. Okay, about someone else. What about Andre? Ah, yes, the father of secrets. He speaks the future, yet remains firmly rooted in the past, where he believes the truth lies buried. Such a mentality frightens me, and this follows to the bidding of ghosts that whisper how we must all become the same. But if you hang on to the past, you die a little every day. Someone tried to assassinate Randall recently. A dangerous move, his power would greatly increase after his death. Little is more compelling and easily abused than a martyr. I met this human named Lazarus in the sewers. Oh, what did you think of him? He's an absolute monster, but sharks wanted to turn him. Monster? He looks like a monster to you, I see. Lazarus is neither the first nor the last of his kind, so whether you admire or despise him, I suggest you learn from his history. So there's just nothing else. I think that's open now. Very well. We'll see each other again soon, I'm sure. Time had passed quickly and the night was already almost over. Time to head back. We can't go anywhere else. We have to go back to the hotel. As I returned to my room, I still felt slightly unnerved from my earlier brush with death. The sight of all those bodies stayed fresh in my mind. What if our place had been reversed and the corpse was lying there right now while they walked free? If not for my mysterious savior, that situation might have come true. The thought didn't give me any comfort as I huddled in for another dreamless rest.
I love relationships. I think they're fantastic. They're wonderful. I think they're great. I think there's nothing in the world more beautiful than
Ring, ring.
love.
A loud noise jolted me awake. It was the phone. Someone was ringing me at the ungodly hour of 7:18 p.m. After shaking off the haze of sleep, I reached out to grab the receiver. Hello. No reply, but I knew someone was there. In the background, I could hear an odd muffled noise. Then all of a sudden, a soft sob leaked out from the other end of the line. I couldn't recognize the voice, yet it sounded distantly familiar. Are you okay? The pitiful whimpers almost sounded like they were trying to form words, but I couldn't make anything out, only the sound of grief, shuddering inhales between choked sobs. What's wrong? Please tell me. There was a long pause. Were they going to finally say something? What if... Click. The light went dead. I reflexively shook my head. Even though the voice was gone, I felt I could still hear those quiet sobs echoing in my ears. It hadn't sounded like anyone I knew, but what if it was? Let's call Randall. Even though the voice probably wasn't Randall's, my mind was already racing through the worst possible scenarios. At least I knew his number though, unlike the others. I don't be able to go back to sleep like this. Better to call and make sure that he was alright. Quickly dialing Randall's number, I listened to it rings once, twice, 3 times. Yeah, who is this? Randall's gruff greeting rang out, same as always. Hey Randall, I just wanted to make sure you were okay. Oh, Midori, you were thinking about me. Aren't you just a peach? Well, yeah, I'm fine, nothing to worry about. So, was there a particular reason you called, or were you just lonely? Someone called me crying, then they hung up. Huh, that's pretty strange. I heard a faint rustling sound like it was scratching his beard. Maybe it was the wrong number. If someone had tears in their eyes, they'd probably miss it buttons. He paused for a moment, clearing his throat. Well, actually, I wanted to ask you something. See, ever since tensions started heating up, I haven't really been able to see Marcus. His place is pretty close to Shard's turf, and he hasn't been picking up any calls for a while. With the way things are going, well, I wanted to drop by his place tonight again to catch up a little. Who knows when I will be able to see him again. Anyway, I was hoping you would come with me. You didn't want to visit him alone? Nah, it's more like you said you two know each other, so I figured he would like to see you again. Who wouldn't? Besides, Paying Marcus a visit is always a great time. You ever been to this shop before? Yes, and it's incredible. Really, that isn't the reaction I usually hear, but oh, no judgment. Randall Snake, you're clearly amused by the thought. I'll meet you there in about an hour, right? And hey, be careful on the streets, Midori. His voice abruptly grew solemn. After those two crazy vampires jumped you, don't you fucking dare go anywhere dangerous by yourself, okay? You never know what can happen these days. Feels like nobody's ever really safe. His quiet warning stayed in my ears after we hung up, even as I readied myself to leave the hotel. It mingled with my memory of the mysterious caller, and though I knew it had probably been just a prank or a wrong number, something about it still haunted me. Well, you're a sight for sore eyes. When I arrived at Blood and Rose a short while later, Rainer was already waiting for me. Something about him seemed different tonight. A strange scent, one that reminded me of the hunters, oddly enough. Uncomfortably intense, even though his expression looked the same as always. You're just gonna stand there and stare at me. Come here. He pulled me into a rough hug, squeezing me firmly against his side. Are you feeling okay, Randall? Don't I look okay? Didn't think my bad head was any worse than normal. Randall barked out a laugh, ruffling a hand through his hair. I'm fine, Midori. I hope you're hanging in there too, after all the shit that has been happening. As we separate, the smile quickly crawled back over his lips. Come on, let's head inside. I didn't call him before I left, so it's gonna be a surprise visit. But he's got the open sign on, so I'm guessing we could head into his his office. I followed Randall through the door, unsure of what we would find. The shop I stepped into was the unholy union of a goth, teenager's bedroom, and Dracula's safe dungeon. My eyes were attacked with an obscene amount of red velvet, gilding, lighting, and false Victorian furniture. But that wasn't the most striking part. That honor belonged to the whips, chains, and the shockingly large accessory on display. As for the floors, they were clustered with shelves chock full of books, VCR tapes, and magazines. I couldn't even begin to count how many. It was like a province library of Alexandria. There was no sign of Marcus, but I could sense a presence nearby. And for the sake of all the vampires in Los Angeles, it's necessary that... Beg your pardon, good queen. It would appear that we have visitors. A pair of voices rang out from beyond the shelves. One belonged to Marcus, but the other was just as familiar. But you? When we rounded the corner, Randall stopped dead in his tracks. Oh my. Charles stared back at Randall with a mix of shock and horror. It was like someone had told her the hotel burned to the ground. No, even then, she probably wouldn't look so appalled. But now, isn't this a charming little congregation? Marcus, on the other hand, was beaming as if Christmas had just come recently. It seems like this guy staged all of this up. The Red Queen, the superstar, myself, and Midori, our grand liberator. Shall I fetch the tea and scones? Oh no, perhaps something a little lighter, since the two of you are undoubtedly already suffering from indigestions. Instead of clobbering us with your dull humor, Marcus, perhaps you could explain what Randall and Midori are doing here. I was under the impression that this was to be a private meeting. And I was under the impression that there's a fucking open sign outside, so I didn't need a goddamn warrant to come in. It didn't take very long for them to recover and start shooting hateful remarks at each other. Maybe we should just calm down. Well, unlike you, Randall, I am here attempting to find a way to end this city's conflict peacefully. Peacefully? Am I missing something here? Because the way I see it, it'd be pretty fucking peaceful if you just step down like we've gone through 1,000 goddamn times before. Oh yes, of course, how silly of me. Let me just throw away all... oh god damn it. Let me just throw away all of the work I've done to make Los Angeles a safer place for all of us. For the first time since I had met her, Charles sounded legitimately furious, a normally composed voice full of passions. The territorial boundaries avoid conflicts, the rules to keep us from slaughtering each other, the system that prevents new vampires from being spontaneously turned and thrown into the world, jeopardizing all our existence. And what makes you think leadership is an important part in all of that? Randall cut Charles off with a sound, pointing in an accusing finger at her face. Plenty of other cities with vampires get along just fine without tyrants telling them what to do. Why the fuck is our any different? This city has the highest vampire population in the world. Don't you understand that well? If I may be so bold as to interrupt, Marcus gently raised a hand. The other two reluctantly paused, turning their attention towards him. Even though he had two of his most powerful and angry vampires standing in his shop, Marcus looked incredibly relaxed, and I had to wonder if he had planned all this from the start. Then again, nothing really seemed to catch Marcus off guard. Surely we're all aware that the conflict in Los Angeles is ascending in its rickety cable car to its finale. It will not be long now before our Redeemer and villain become clear, yet who they are still remains as murky as the light polluted sky. The three of us are all rather biased, as we have been established in this city for some time now. However, with a slow, elusive smirk curling over his lips, Marcus gestured grandly towards me. Two pairs of sharp eyes flicked onto my face. Our friend Midori here, despite her close ties to Randall, may have a more lucid take on things, especially considering her recent arrival. Tell us, Midori, what are your thoughts on the redemption of LA? Man, this is going to be not fun. God fucking damn it. Save the game here. Why can't we come to a compromise? The room went completely silent, though outside the shop's windows I heard the dull hum of traffic groaning on. In that moment, the anger between Charles and Randall suddenly seemed to deflate. But the look in their eyes wasn't one of hope. We've tried, Midori. Randall finally broke the silence, muttering quietly. We don't want to end up wiping each other out. But our house will not reconcile. From the way Charles finished Randall's thought, it was clear that they had tried this talk before, maybe too many times. At the start of this war, Randall tried to find a common ground, reach a compromise that would work for everyone. Until we finally realized that they don't want to compromise. This gaze drift between Charles and me, finally settling on my face with a long resignation. And so we started speaking out against each other, trying to force others into living or resigning the things that our followers want. Because the only way for our house to feel satisfied is for the other one to lose. The room fell quiet again. Marcus leaned against the counter, observing us with his dimly glowing eyes. I wanted to believe that one day you and I would be able to come together, Randall. But it seems that it was only a fool's idealism in the end. With a humorless smile, Charles shook her head, taking a step towards the door. Wait, Charles. Yes. When she paused to glance back at us, Randall grimaced. Thanks. What are you thanking me for? For letting Midori come to me, even if it was just to serve your own fucking ends somehow. He lowered a hand onto my shoulder, grasping it for a reassurance. With or without the water, no, I needed her as much as I did. Charles blinked at him, speechless. It was hard to blame her. She probably hadn't come here expecting to be genuinely thanked by Randall of all people. Yes. Wow. Depending on how the final die is cast in the end, you might not be so thankful after all. As the troubled words faded into silence, shards vanished around the shelves. The shop door opened and closed a moment later, and then it was only the three of us. None of us spoke. Reynolds still stood close to my side, but when I glanced over at him, there was something about his expression seemed strangely withdrawn. That brief meeting had thrown him off his pace, and it seemed like he was struggling to get it back. If you want to avoid any further spontaneous encounters with your nemesis, perhaps you should be more careful about the place you visit. Marcus shattered the silence with a dry murmur to Randall, lifting an eyebrow. Sorry, Marcus. I thought I would come by with Midori to see you, but I wasn't expecting all that. Yes, you and Midori. The mental shape of her must have succeeded to some degree, as her name seems to be on the bloodstained lips of every vampire in the city. Marcus peered me through his dark sunglasses, studying my face in the same way one would examine a painting to discover its meaning. But have you learned anything of value from Randall, Midori? That's the meaning of freedom in individuality. Huh. The true meaning, I wonder. Well, if not, then I suppose we might already be gone. Reynolds tilted his head to one side as Marcus mused aloud. He was slightly uncomfortable. Maybe he felt like Marcus' comment was a subtle insult. Well, it'll chatter aside. You did come here for a reason, did you not? Oh yeah, I mean we. Sighing, Randall glanced away from us briefly. Shit, who am I kidding? You already guessed it. It's written all over your face. You wanted me to lend my support to you and Midori. Marcus replied swiftly, his upper lip curling a tiny bit. That's not what you told me, man, Randall. I don't want you to think I was just bringing you along to get his sympathy or anything. But you're as called to Alice Richard as any of us, and I don't feel right going behind your back. Marcus leaned against the counter with a heavy sigh, his gaze roaming across the newspaper. After a moment, he suddenly broke into a soft smile, like someone had whispered a joke that only he could hear. Remember, in this city, either believes I am the boogeyman, wants to be dead, or wants something from me. Some days, I don't know which of them will reach. His eye flicked up to Randall, though as not accusingly as his words imply. Then his focus shifted on me. The future of Los Angeles is yours to build, not mine. We are a part of it, and it is a part of us, ineffable, inescapable, intangible. But how you make your peace with it, that is none of my affair. Marcus' words seemed to shatter Randall's heart. There was no surprise in his eyes, just the awful sinking look of someone being told news that they dread. Are you trying to say you don't care what happens to us? It doesn't matter to you if Ella gets crushed under someone's boot, or every vampire lives in fear, or we all get killed for what we have said and done? I think you care more than that, Marcus. After a short pause, Marcus reached into his pocket, pulling out a small baked lighter. He pressed the trigger, and when a flame shot from the tip, he brought it to a crinkled newspaper. The black and white page immediately began to blacken at its edge, forming a charred patch that slowly ate its way further and further inward. Soon, the newspaper was reduced to nothing but ash. Marcus casually swept it off into a nearby dustbin, then wiped his hands together. If you have any questions regarding my merchandise or would like to make a purchase, I would be happy to assist you. Otherwise, I'm afraid I will have to ask you to leave. Shaking his head gently, Randall took a slow step past me. Come on, Midori. Let's leave Marcus to his shop. I followed Randall to the door, weaving through the forest of shops, sinking slightly into the thick carpet. But as we were about to step outside, I felt Marcus' eyes still on my back. Look back. When I glanced over my shoulder, I saw that Marcus had followed us from a distance. He nodded at me ever so slightly, then jerked his chin towards Randall's back. And with that small gesture, he turned away, disappearing once more into the depths of his shop. Man, every time I take you somewhere, some kind of shit always goes down, doesn't it? Randall muttered under his breath as a sharp door closed behind us. Maybe we should only hang out at petting zoos from now on. At least no one shot us this time. That's an improvement. Yeah, well, don't fucking jinx it. He let out a slightly forced laugh, brushing a hand against his throat. You know, I figured the worst thing that could happen was Marcus getting mad and throwing a block at my head. But I guess he decided to just fuck both of us instead. He spoke with the strained humor of someone trying to master disappointment. Honestly, I didn't think he would offer support since he's just not that kind of guy. But for your sake, I thought I'd give it a try. I wonder if there's anything that could convince him. He already made up his mind, trying to change it would be a losing battle. But what he said about us being able to change the fate of Alice vampires, I believe that. Randall gave me a long, uncertain look. Fuck, I don't want you to see me like that in there though. You know, I think Char's a bitch and needs to get up a fucking throne, but when I see her, it's like coming face to face with the thing that scares me the most. A dictator who thinks that justified by the will of the people will lose their humanity while trying to save it, trying to do the right thing. I never wanted to be like that. I think Char still has some humanity. Yeah, she does somewhere. But I wonder if she really knows who she is anymore. She is always crushing her own feelings, saying she's putting her covens first, because that's what everyone expects her to do. Sometimes, I think it's not dictators controlling the people, it's people making their own dictators. They put on a faint smile, one so uneasy that it seemed more like a reflection than anything genuine. Listen, I'm pretty sick of all this depressing shit. I don't want to think about it right now. Randall heaved a sigh, rubbing a hand along his tattooed forearm. You know, I heard there's something fun going on at the pier tonight, so why don't we head over there to lighten things up? And you can win me a stuffed animal, okay? Yeah, sure, let's go. Why not? Don't worry, Midori. If you get performance anxiety on the claw machine, I just rip it open and pretend it counts, okay? We spent the rest of the night in Santa Monica, whiling away the hours with Argent Games. Randall had taken an unusually careful route to the pier, and said he just wanted us to hang out together without the other mob tracking him down. But as our stuffed animal collection slowly increased, and the sunrise crept closer and closer, Randall's smile never grew as bright as it had before. Rain pattered gently against my window. I gazed down the distant city streets, where the wet pavement glistened with the reflection of endless lights. A little while ago, I had awoken to the soft sound of a storm. I would, somehow admit that what seemed so peaceful. Calm and drowsy, entirely different from the bristling tension that had filled the past few days. Listening to the rain almost made my entire body want to drift back to sleep. The phone interrupted my thoughts, snapping me back to the moment. I reached over to pick it up, and as soon as I held the receiver to my ear, "Midori," Char's voice hissed out at me. "I am coming up to your room now." Alright. The line abruptly went dead. She sounded much angrier than I ever heard her before. Apparently my peaceful night wasn't destined to last very long. What the hell happened? A few minutes later, my door rattled with 3 vehement knocks. The seconds I opened it, she strode past me, silently stomping her way inside my room. She radiated fury, even though her expressions looked anxiously calm. "What happened, Charles?" She gave me a silent, bitter look. I had a feeling that anger wasn't the only emotion swirling inside her right now. Two of my agents were killed tonight. When she finally managed to speak, her voice trembled slightly. Not from spying, not from venturing into enemy territory. They were off duty. They hadn't even left Hollywood, but they were picked off, attacked in an alleyway as they left to see a movie together. "I'm sorry, Charles. Apologies won't bring them back from the dead." She scowled at me harshly, as if I was somehow responsible for what had happened. These little ambushes, these pathetic attempts at power plays, they're nothing more than a pitiful show of strength they don't even have. One of her hands clenched into a tight fist, knuckles nearly busting open her glove. Neither the Mava nor the Golgotha are bold enough to make a genuine first move. They're too afraid of a real conflict. That is why I will make the first move, and an opportunity has just arisen for it. Charles took a long deep breath, lifting a hand to adjust her glasses. When her steely gaze refocused on me, it seemed like she had calmed down a little. "I am currently working with a new discovery manager at the abattoir to plan a party on Friday, a party exclusive to our coven. That club is considered the most important neutral territory because it's an extremely popular feeding ground. During the gathering, you're going to announce that the club now belongs to the escort as does the whole city. Anyone who remains an enemy to our faction will be treated accordingly." "Hold on a second, why do you want me to announce this?" "Your reputation has made you an important figure, an object of keen scrutiny by all the city's vampires. You are, like it or not, being viewed by many as the political pulse of the city. Many question your allegiance, and now is the time to show once and for all where your loyalty lies." She gave me a long, hard look. "I sent along my agents, who will provide support both inside and out of the club. There may not be any initial fighting, but we should be prepared. Then after that night, you'll forcibly drive them out. Yes, anyone who continues to undermine the city's laws, which work excellently until this senseless rebellion, will be told to leave Los Angeles. I want to minimize bloodshed, but some of them will inevitably attack us in retaliation." "What about the human police? They've been sufficiently confirmed and compensated. Any casualties will be reported as a mere gang violence." I think I have to save the game right here. This is outrageous. "I'm sorry, Charles, but I can't take part in this." "I'm sure you're quite sorry, almost as sorry as I'm to force you into doing it. In case I have to spell it out for you, you don't have a choice," demanded Midori. Muttering those words bitterly, Charles shook her head. She still seemed different from her normal self, aggressive but uncertain, almost like a wounded animal ready to attack. Okay, so it really doesn't matter what choice you made there. Then pushing past me, she swiftly made her way to the door. "Oh, and just so you're aware, for your own safety, I can't allow you to leave the hotel without my permission. I do hope you understand." She closed the door without letting me reply, although her words didn't leave much room for argument. And with that, I was imprisoned in the hotel. Charles said the party would happen Friday, but today was only Wednesday. I would have to deal with being leashed here until then, kept inside my luxury prison. Glanced outside my window, where the moon and dark clouds seemed closer than the distant streets below. For once, I didn't feel hungry at all, only isolated. I probably wouldn't be able to call random, since Iskra would no doubt be monitoring me closely, just in case. There was someone else I could talk to, though. I can call in David? Oh yeah, why not? Give me your blood. After I gave a brief knock on David's door, he quickly shuffled over to answer it. Hi, mistress. There must be something going on, huh? I heard a lot of people talking and moving around tonight. Yeah, I'm not even supposed to leave the hotel. I bet it's a big vampire thing, right? I'm happy you're here, though, since you always out new stuff, eh? Do you want to talk about something then? Tell me about yourself. You want to know about me? Instead, me Jack Slackjaw, apparently flawed by my questions. I mean, there's nothing special about me. I'm not some amazing important person like you are. But I have a brother who's old, who was way too overprotective of me, and a dad with a bunch of money. My mom used to be a model, but when she got too old, she had to retire, so now she stays home and watches talk shows most of the time. I just finished high school, but I wasn't planning to go to college or anything, especially since I got held back a few years. My dad says this would be a waste of money and I should just work with his magazine instead. He said what we really want to do, work for your dad. Actually, I'm not sure I want to do this. Nothing seems like it's worth it, I guess. It just takes so much time to get anywhere, and who knows what you're supposed to do when you get there. But I don't care about that stuff anymore. I mean, it's not important. I'm here for you now, right? For you to drink from. It's a really nice feeling. I don't need anything else. Yeah, let's keep him here. I don't care. If this guy dies, then fuck him. That's all for now, thanks. Okay, I can't wait to see you again, mistress. Giving me a long smile, David slipped back into his room, sighing as the door clicked shut. I sank down onto my bed, staring at the wall with a strangely numb sensation. For a moment, I felt the same way I did first night, all alone in this empty room. It didn't matter that I had already seen unimaginable things, or survived some of the darkest parts of Hollywood. The coming days still felt like the most uncertain I would ever see ahead of me. An arid Thursday night stretched out before my eyes. I sat in the latch of my open window, gazing at the moon over the Hollywood hills. In less than 24 hours, I'll be walking into the abattoir, getting ready to give an announcement that will change the life of every vampire in LA. Until then, Charles wanted me to stay locked up in my thoughts. I could call someone, but I had a feeling the Iskra was monitoring my phone. My only other source of entertainment was the TV in the sparkling city outside my window. As I sat there alone for the first night in a long time, my mind wandered back to my life before all of this ever happened. My life as a human. Back then, I was depressed on most days, struggling to find meaningful things in life. There was one question I had never managed to escape from, no matter how hard I tried to push it away. Was anything really worth it? Was there a point to suffering through so much stress, so much exhaustion, so much helplessness every single day? More often than not, the answer was no. I kept struggling on and on. Sometimes the thought of letting everything go would wash through my mind. My eyes flicked up to meet their reflection in the window pane. I hadn't really thought about those days in a long time, the old human me. Now I found myself nostalgic and wistful, but still determined to put the past behind me. When I gazed down at the tiny cars and people wandering on the streets, I could almost see myself as one of them, blissfully ignorant of the dark world that surrounded me now. Even if I knew I was reminiscing though through rose-colored glasses, I felt bittersweet longing for those brighter, calmer, more predictable times. But there was no going back. No matter how much the past continued to weigh heavily on my shoulders, one day I knew I'd find a way to leave it behind forever. As I sank back onto the bed, finally drifting out my thoughts, Rena's face surfaced in my mind. There was no way Charles would willingly let me visit him at this point, not if tomorrow was D-Day. I couldn't just lie about where I was going either. She would definitely have me follow. If I wanted to talk to Randall safely, I would have to slip away for a few hours. Was it worth the risk? No, just stay inside. I decided against trying to leave. There was no way for me to communicate with Randall, so all I could do was hope he would be at the club tomorrow. Until then, all I could do was wait. The next night, I woke up with a knot in my stomach. It was a sharp gnawing feeling that wouldn't go away, not even as I climbed out of bed to get dressed. That feeling was... I wasn't sure. I couldn't place the feeling beyond a sense of apprehensions. Maybe my emotions were too strong to pick out, or else it was just my fight or flight instinct warming up, numbing my mind. But there was one thing I knew for certain. After tonight, everything would be different. When I finally prepared myself physically and mentally, I decided it was time to go. I made my way to the door, stepped outside, and gave my room a final look long low. I glanced back at the empty room. For a moment, I traveled back in time to my first night when I had stood in a daze on this very spot. Now here I was, about to live for what might be the final time, but there was no point dwelling in nostalgia. Downstairs in the lobby, Charles' agents were waiting for me. From their tight-lipped, intense stares, they seemed to feel more anxious than I was. We took several cars to the Avatar, leaving at slightly different intervals in case we were being watched. Nobody spoke up. The few agents sharing my car only whispered a few words to each other. I had my weapons from before still tucked in my jacket, since I was told we'd be able to smoke anything we want. From the firepower that the agents were packing, it seemed like they expected to use it. We pull up a block away from the Avatar and I follow the agents towards the front entrance. Alright guys, I'll stop recording. We'll come back very soon. Welcome back in. I noticed a few humans trying to get inside the club, only to get swiftly rejected by the bouncers. But as soon as we approached, they let us inside, swinging open the door with a foreboding creak. The moment I entered the club, a different atmosphere swirled around me. Instead of a crowd of mortals, everywhere I looked, there were only vampires. Tensions weighed thickly in the air, as cloying and heavy as the pounding music, but it seemed like Charles Spade had work. I saw vampires from all three houses crowding the floor, watching each other uneasily even as they drank and danced the night away. Did they have any idea what was going to happen? No one stopped me as I climbed up to the empty stage, walking over to the microphone. As soon as I approached it, though, I felt more and more eyes flicking onto me. Charles' agents were watching me close as a bull, probably ready to pounce if I chicken out. Suddenly, the music switched off. Everyone started to murmur in confusion, glancing around to see what's happening. Now seemed like a good time to start. Can I have everyone's attention? My voice boomed back to me over the loudspeakers. All the vampires were on looking at me before now stared at me wide-eyed. Everyone stayed silent, waiting for my next words. All of you know that the avatar is neutral ground. Silence. Unfortunately, it seems like that's about to change. I could sense countless eyes piercing into me. Right now, it felt like they were all waiting for me to mess up. Because the winds in this world would be... Sure, it's the rebellion. I have to choose a side. I'm going to save the game right here. Fuck. The rebellion! The next few seconds felt frozen in time. Nobody moved, as if they were waiting for somebody else to move first. Just as it started when my microphone had turned off, all hell broke loose. Some of the vampires charged towards me, but another group leaped onto them, shooting and calling at them. The escort one, the old ones who had smuggled in weapons. Another throng of people raced with exits, shoving each other to escape. Ah, oh, this feels good. Ah ha ha. How to scout it, baby, look out! Bodies were already falling to the floor, both dead and alive. Not wanting to be next, I jumped off the stage towards safety. Wait, I see her. She's over there. Get her! Instantly, a pair of furious cries rang out nearby. I could guess who they were talking about. Darting towards the club's emergency exit, I ducked outside. Okay, I'm going to save the game. This scenario. Alright, save. Load. Back to you again. Load this save. A deafening silence. Oh, I have no other choice. I have to make that. Yeah. It's the same thing. God damn it. Gunfire, shouting, and footsteps race after me. Bullets whistle over my head, rolling into the wall. Down the street, an alley, another alley, back into the street. No matter how fast I ran, they were right behind me. I felt like an animal feeling for its life, driven by the pure instinct to survive. I didn't find with their voice that I was outnumbered. If only I... There they are, now! Don't let them get me going! The next moment, a group of Marva leaped down from the rooftops. Randall stood with them, his lips curled in a snarl. You bastard made a real big mistake trying to fuck with our girl. You better run for your fucking lives. I said one kill, all the Marva shot past me, rushing for my attackers. It was more than enough to make the other vampires turn and flee, running from the howling Marva. Before long, they had chased the others completely out of sight. Randall slowly turned towards me, his deep scowl lingering for a few seconds longer. Midori? He suddenly grabbed my shoulders, pulling me into a tight bear hug. His arm squeezed me with all the force he could muster, which made me glad I didn't have to breathe. Pull out his grip. I'm sorry, you're just a friend to me. When I squirrel in his arms, Randall reluctantly released me. A sheepish smile crossed his face for a few moments, but it quickly faded for a more serious look. Christ, sorry we were so late. He heaved a sigh, running a hand through his hair. We tried to follow you from the club, but we got held up by some of those scary fuckers. I was sure we outnumbered them. But you're okay, aren't you? They didn't hit you or anything. His eyes darted over me worriedly. No, but I really thought it was the end. Fuck. You know, I never let things end for you like that, Midori. A brief, almost uncomfortably serious tone gripped Randall's voice, but his fierce eyes swiftly flickered away from me. Come on, let's get out of here before the escort or the girls pay us a visit. I got a safe ride that will take us back. God damn, this shit is gonna give me gray hairs. With Randall sticking close to my side, we hurried to the street, where a beat-up car was waiting for us. It was filled with a small group of Marva who eagerly peppered me with thanks and congratulations as we rode back. I couldn't remember the last time I had such a warm reception. I probably got used to the escort crowd chilliness. But instead of riding to Santa Monica, we start driving towards our parking garage where Randall told me a huge group had gathered. He explained that his beach house wasn't big enough to fit so many vampires and it wouldn't be safe to send people back into the streets. They had already set up guards around the block and it seemed like it would be another defensible position for the night, but no one knew what could happen. As soon as Randall and I stepped out of the car, a chorus of cheers rang through the garage. He hadn't been lying. It seemed like most of the city's mafia had turned up, with plenty of new and old faces greeting me everywhere I looked. Most of them seemed as excited as they were nervous, but in some faces I still caught a glimpse of dread. You should have a talk, Midori, to get your thoughts on. Midori, Randall. What is it, Jack? Running up to us at top speed, Jack skidded to a halt, his fangs bare in a grimace. I just finished talking to some of our sneaky dude, our spies. And well, they're scouring the goals. They're gonna jump our base in Hollywood tomorrow night. Sounds like Queen Bitch is really pissed. They got a kill on sight out of all of us, even Midori. Randall curled one hand into a fist, sinking his nails against his bandaged palm. Was she planning this from the start? If she did, it doesn't matter now. As more and more of the crowd started listening to our conversation, the chatter slowly faded into soft, worried mutters and whispers. People start moving closer to Randall and me, as if they were expecting some kind of important announcement. Then it sounds like tomorrow's gonna be our big last stand. A grim expression clouded Randall's features, where I couldn't see any trace of enthusiasm. We've gotta make it count, because if we fuck this up, I don't think we'll be getting another chance. The Iskra and the girls won't wait for us to get even stronger. When we head to the base, we could try and talk first, or just charge as soon as we see them, and things as soon as we can. But as much as I would like to reach some kind of last minute treaty before shit kicks off, I got my doubts they'll feel much like talking. Okay, I have to save the game right here. I should try and talk with them as long as there's a chance. Well, I don't think so. There won't be a compromise, we'll have to fight. Then the time for talking is over. Tomorrow we'll kick their asses. A chorus of cheers rang out after Randall's reply. They seem eager to tend to the enemy right now. What about Queen Bitch? Yeah, what are we gonna do about her? What if she sticks around? Two loud voices impatiently called out from the crowd, echoed by murmurs of agreement. Yeah, that's still one thing we gotta agree on. I know we've talked a lot of shit about Queen Bitch, and she deserved that fast, Prada-wearing fucker. She can't stay in this city, that's for fucking sure, but we don't have to kill her either. I feel unhappy mutters sprang up that, but most of the crowd waited for Randall to continue. Midori, you have put up with more of her shit than any of us, what do you think? Shars doesn't deserve to die, we should let her escape. Yeah, I'm with you there. Then we'll let her leave the city as long as she never comes back, and she better not fucking come back. Randall's words were met with cheers of approval, though they seemed a little quieter than before. When tomorrow comes and we face them all heads on as a unified group, that means the real revolution is finally here. And it doesn't matter how many Iskari or ghosts there are, or how much blood we'll lose, or how long we have to struggle for our rights. Because nothing can stop us now. As Randall's last words echoed through the garage, a chorus of frenzied cheers and yelling surrounded us. But finally the group began to disperse, heading off to prepare weapons or settle down for rest before morning. Randall was still standing beside me, his eyes closed in a brooding look. Wait, what about Andre? Andre? If we catch him, he's gone. That one is not up for debate. There was a sharp finality in his voice, although the harshness in his voice didn't seem aimed at me. Come here for a second, Midori. I want to talk to you. Reaching out to gently grasp my arm, Brandon pulled me towards one corner of the garage, while the others, curious case, couldn't follow us as easily. I could tell his emotions were running high and obvious stress weighing on his shoulders as we walked. I just wanted to say, I'm real happy you stayed with me, independent, that you didn't get sucked up in the old latest bullshit or anything else. It's not that I don't trust you. I'm just not used to people always saying what they mean, doing what they say they're gonna do. I follow what I think is right, and I knew I couldn't join the other leaders. You know, the moment I saw you running up to me in this garage, I had a good feeling about you, Midori. I was like, this crazy fucker, she's gonna go place. And I hope she'll take me along for the ride. Although his chuckle sounded like a little forced, Randall wrapped his arms around me and back up. This one's much softer than this early embrace. We spent the rest of the night sharing stories just like we had that night at Saturnalia. With the threat of tomorrow conflict looming over us, it was almost impossible to relax. But Randall seemed to be trying his hardest to forget about it. Finally, blah blah blah, we dozed up side by side while the others kept watch. A brief escape from thoughts of what was to come. The final night is coming, and I'm planning to stop playing this game after that. We have so many other games, I don't have time for this. The smell of anxiety and bloodlust hung in the air. Marvel lurked in the alley or other side of me, murmuring among themselves quietly. As prepared as we were, it still felt like anything could happen at any moment. But the minutes dragged on in silence. An hour earlier, we had all left the parking garage together. No one wanted to stay behind. Some of the rivals went back to Santa Monica, setting up preparations at the house in case we needed to fall back. The rest of our group insists I come with them, so I split up with a small force to defend the mother in Hideout in Hollywood. In the end, I decided to. And important decisions need to find the battle myself, stay nearby, ready to help and negotiate. I think I'll do this. I didn't intend to involve myself in the fight, but I could still be useful. If anyone needed help, or if there was a chance for negotiations, I would be able to step in. And all those things had to happen. We were spread out in front of the hideout's entrance, keeping an eye out for any Golgotha or Iskari, while other militia passing humans didn't get too close. A street or two away, Randall was waiting with another group, ready to protect and secure our escape route if we needed it. Everyone had their weapons ready to attack on sight, but there was no sign of our enemies. Wait, what was that? What was what? That movement like a blurry scent close by. I glanced up to see two guards at the end of the alley muttering to each other. What the hell is huge? It's coming this way, on the right, on the left. What the fuck are you? Get down! It dove to the ground right as two bullets flew past. At that exact moment, out of nowhere, I felt two giant presence suddenly approaching us. For a split second, everyone around me looked paralyzed, petrified in fear. It was closing on us from both sides, thundering footsteps getting louder, crushing us like trapped insects. Within seconds, a cataclysmic fire exploded in front of me. All I could see was gunfire and streaks of blood. Everywhere I looked, corpses were already falling, pools of blood splattering the asphalt. Shrieks and howls blended into one constant roar, and the stench of dead clogged my sense. Unlike at the club, no one targeted me. They were just charging the first enemy they saw. But the deaths were too fast. All shattering skulls, claws ripping open throats, brains smashed into the ground. Blood splattered my face, my clothes, as the carnage around me raged on and on. Help me! A hand weakly grabbed my leg, fingers scrapping against it. I looked down to see a vampire who had charged in with us. His head was torn open, and through his shattered ribs, I could see an unbeating heart. I pulled him out of his misery. I reached into my jacket for the spare pistol I brought Emery at his head. Just as I was about to squeeze the trigger. Why? Blood drew from his lips, eyes were stupid as they stand to mine. Why aren't you fighting? I don't believe. I'm not a fighter. If you fought with me, maybe we could have lived. I watch it as his torn body convulsed, fingers staring at his own exposed fat and tissue, until it suddenly stopped. His first eyes still fixed on my face. The air blended into a cacophony of laughter, roars, and screams. gleeful and horrified, like sounds rising from hell. Some vampires had already given up, turning tail and fleeing for their lives. Others were trying to claw their way to safety, only to get hit down before they could escape. Each time I blinked, I saw a different body falling down. More and more piling up on the ground in heap of entrails, shattered bones, crushed organs. Dead friends, dead enemies, concussed beyond recognition. But in death, all of them look the same. The chaos seemed to stretch on and on and on. But at last the screams died into whimpers. In reality, the fire had only lasted a few minutes, even though it had seemed like forever. But because of our monstrous natures, the results were horrific. All around me, dead vampires covered the ground, headless, limbless, or with their hearts cut open. The stench of their blood permeated the air, belching out from the open wounds. Slowly I realized that we had won. There were more rebels still alive, some groaning and shuddering on the ground, others helping tend to the fallen. The Golgotha and the Iskar had fled, leaving all of their dead behind. But we had lost many of our own too. All of these corpses would have to be taken away, and one by one they would become a tragedy to someone, not just part of a faceless mass. Just as I finally stumbled away from the sea of bodies, a human passed by the alleyway. He froze mid-stride, staring down at us, at the mangled bodies littering the concrete. The moment seemed surreal. I almost expected to draw out a dream from anesthesia in a dentist's chair. To realize everything that had happened since that night at the club was one long, bizarre delusion, and I was back in the normal, waking world. The man's eyes met my own. His pupils, like two TV screens, switched up held blankly that had to be pure, abject horror. Also, I thought until he shrugged and continued on. What? At first, I was stunned. It was like the horror hadn't affected him at all. But after a moment, I realized why the man hadn't shown any reaction. He must have thought he had won the passive movie set. In some way, there were eagerly rolling cameras panning slowly across the billion cops to capture every cinematic drop. Because after all, this was Hollywood. And I'm telling you, Marva are the fucking chosen ones. Oh, you're full of shit, Paul. If I'm one of the chosen ones, how come I haven't gotten laid in 10 years, huh? As soon as I stepped inside the house, a deafening chatter attacked me. It was entirely packed tonight without a single inch empty floor space. But that was normal these days. I waved my way through the crowd, heading towards the back room. I hadn't come here tonight to mingle with the Mova. There was someone else I wanted to see. The lights were switched off, but the room wasn't empty. A lone tall figure stood before the mirror, staring at his reflection intently. He didn't seem to notice I had arrived. Randall, hello. Randall flinched, a look of confusion flickering over his face. As I stared on his reflection for a moment longer, almost like he thought it had spoken to him. Before they slid over to me. Midori? After a sharp pause, Randall broke into a smile. Shit, I forgot we're gonna go visit the pier tonight. You'll forgive me if I buy you a free place of pinball, right? Come on. He let out a soft snicker, his voice as warm and affectionate as ever. I had moved into my own apartment in Hollywood. I still paid plenty of visits to the beach house, mostly to hang out with Randall. He always seemed happy whenever we spent time together. In fact, as time went on, he started avoiding his climates more and more, making up excuses so we could talk alone instead. But ever since the war ended, I noticed Randall's behavior has slowly begun to change. He was drawing a lot more, scribbling on just about everything he could. Paper, tables, napkins, his mirror, even his hands. A lot of it was artistic, the usual grotesque figures. He seemed to enjoy sketching. Other times, Randall wrote indecipherable words, long string of letters that I couldn't make heads or tails of. He never gave any explanations when I asked, only that he was drawing whatever he felt like, and the drawing seemed to bring him comfort. I found him like this more frequently too, standing in front of the mirror, staring at his reflection. Again, he always evaded my questions, offering me something like, I can't tear away from my beautiful face. Or I was just practicing kissing. Maybe he would finally explain himself one day. But until then, I was left mystified by his strange habits. Whatever. Somehow, several months had already flown by. After the huge fire, the showers escaped the city, along with a large group of girls still loyal to her. The last we had heard, she was heading down to San Diego, which had a fairly small coven and no real leader. Nothing bad could happen there, surely. As for Andre, nobody was able to catch him. He must have left LA right after the final fight, with a large number of Golgotha following behind. Reynolds was furious when he found out, but weeks afterwards he sent search party to comb the surrounding cities for Andre, to no avail. Eventually, Reynolds seemed to forget about it. Mentioning Andre's name still made him stiffen, but he didn't have the same violent reaction as before, though I had a feeling he was always at the back of Reynolds' mind. With no more strict rules in place, the coven had settled down into a strangely easy peace. Although Reynolds' clan of rebels didn't technically exist anymore, the number of vampires who looked up to him seemed to grow every night. Some of the Iscariot and Golgotha even gravitated towards him, drawn by the increasing amount of stories and legends people share. But as the world chaotic night slowly faded into a distant memory, it seemed like Randall would never escape the role of the leader that everyone wanted him to be. People always came to him with problems, begging him to fix them, offering new ideas for laws to keep the coven safe. Others wanted Randall to help liberate covens from Iscariot, like the one in San Francisco, or to use his power to influence other leaders. And amidst all that attention, adoration, and the unending stream of demanding voice, the only voice I never seemed to hear was Randall's. And as for David, because I wasn't able to visit the hotel again for weeks, I wasn't sure about his fate. And for weeks there was no sign of him. But soon, I learned that he hadn't been killed. Instead, someone told me they saw him with another vampire, a man who had apparently taken him in as a pet. After that, we never encountered each other again. Reynolds' fingers trailed across his face, threads of massive blonde hair caught between his fingers. These days, he didn't seem to care as much about his appearance. Thanks for coming out, me, Dory. Feels like we don't see each other enough these days. You sure you're feeling okay, Randall? I keep telling you I'm fine. Don't worry about me. He let out another mild chuckle, shaking his head to himself. Then, after a last long look in the mirror, Randall turned to step towards me. Before I knew it, he had swept into a hug, wearing the same broad smile as ever. But as Randall clutched me to his wide, unbeating chest and his form cast a towering shadow across the dark bedroom, the sound felt weaker than they ever had before. What's going on? Red embraced Hollywood. Oh, so that was the end of the game. That's about it. Okay. Well, guys, I'm going to stop recording now.